video, we will cover how to set up a shutdown schedule in a Danfoss SM800A system manager, specifically shutting down Danfoss case controller with electronic expansion valve based upon a leak detector, DGS Danfoss leak detector over Modbus. This is a good application that we commonly see for walk-ins where we have a leak detector in the box and a leak occurs, and we want to, in addition to sending out an alarm, we also want to shut down the EEV in the case or in the walk-in so that we don't continue to push refrigerant out to the evaporator. We'll start from our home screen in StoreView Web. The first thing we want to do before we set anything up is, again, we're assuming that the leak detector has already been configured in the program. We want to scroll down and find the address of the case controller. We can do that right from this miscellaneous section, and if we just pick this one that's named in this program, leak detector 19 in the list, you can see here a small text below it, it's address 60, or you could click on it to get to a more detailed status screen, and you can also see address 60. We'll just want to make note of that address if that's the one we're using for this schedule, and then from there we are going to get into configuration now. We'll get into control, and we first want to go to our leak section. Again, we're assuming that the leak detectors are already in the program for this video. We're also assuming that they are DGS models that are communicating over Modbus. We have a leak detector using an analog 0 to 5, 0 to 10 signal. It would require a bit of a different setup, and that's something that we can obviously discuss with you. But for this video, DGS over Modbus. We will click on Setup and then go into Import OI. We can see import number 1 here. What we want to do is hit the drop down and find critical relay. So we're using this feature, this option in the DGS, the critical relay, which is a relay that triggers when the alarm threshold PPM value for that leak detector setup has been surpassed. We're triggering that relay on the leak detector itself, and we're also monitoring the state of that relay through the program by using this option to now trigger the shutdown schedule once we have the full setup in place. So now we've selected critical relay there. We will go into schedules from the bottom left of the menu. And here we need to, there's a good chance that you're already going to have some schedules in this section. So we're just going to go ahead and increase the number by 1. And then depending on how many schedules you have, it may be at the bottom of the list on this existing page. You may need to hit the drop down here like I do to get to a second page of schedules. But you should find it at the bottom of the list and be able to hit the details page, or button rather. But from here, schedule usage, some different options. You may default to a different choice, but you do want to select shutdown here. We want to give it some kind of a name so that we know what the intended usage of the schedule is. So we'll call this one meat cooler. Schedule control, we want to select digital here. So that point that we're bringing in from the leak detector, that critical relay, that's considered a digital point in the program. And then here down below, the digital input, we're selecting what that point actually is. So we've got this initial setup in place now saying trigger the shutdown schedule when this critical relay from the leak detector energizes or turns on. Now we just need to assign this to the case controller. So if we choose controllers here at the top, and choose our case controller here, it's the one, this would be based off the name of the case controller, how it was already set up in the system manager. We would just hit the slide bar here, and that would move that to selected, and that would now say that that case controller will be, and you can choose multiple if that were what you needed to do here. But otherwise, yeah, this would be what you want to do to assign that schedule that you've configured to that case controller. And that's it. That's everything we need to do to set up a shutdown schedule in a Danfoss SM800A system manager to tie a DGS leak detector to a Danfoss case controller.